Kamala Harris has only been at the top of the Democratic ticket for president for a few weeks, and that has totally upended the presidential contest. There's been a big uptick in Democratic fundraising.
$81 million in 24 hours.
A dispirited party is now enthusiastic. It has its swagger back.
Kamala Harris is brat, and that apparently is a good thing, unlike when I was a child. Tim Walz is Midwest princess, and that's also a good thing.
Now, voters know that Kamala Harris is the vice president, but they really don't know what she would do as president. She is the least defined presidential nominee of our adult lifetimes. There's an information vacuum there that someone is going to fill, and Democrats want to fill it before the Republican Party does.
They're failed, weak, and dangerously liberal.
And the Democratic Convention presents an important opportunity for them to speak to the nation.
I really love New York.
When a newcomer has come on the scene in the past, by this point, they've already gone through a long primary process with state-by-state battles that put them in the public eye for months.
Today, what North Carolina decided is that the only game that needs changing is the one in Washington, D.C.
This just hasn't happened for Kamala Harris. We just have never been here before, this deep into an election cycle with a nominee who is so little known by the public. A recent CNBC poll found that 80% of voters think pretty well that they know what Donald Trump would do on the economy, but only about 60% of voters say that they have a good idea of what Kamala Harris would do. This all makes this Democratic convention very important for the party. Kamala Harris has to present herself to the public in a way that makes her seem strong and effective without taking on the baggage and the negative impressions that voters have of the Biden administration. What we're going to see her do is lean heavily on her time before she was vice president, when she was a prosecutor in California and the Attorney General of California and as senator.
So in those roles, I took on perpetrators of all kinds. Predators who abused women, fraudsters who ripped off consumers, cheaters who broke the rules for their own gain.
She needs to persuade voters that she has a governing agenda that will benefit them, and that she has a biography and a background that brings credibility to that agenda. The third challenge she has is drawing a contrast with Donald Trump, and that's where you're going to see her put up her background against his.
As Attorney General, I held the big Wall Street banks accountable for fraud. Well, Donald Trump was just found guilty of fraud.
Keep in mind also that Republicans have had their own burst of enthusiasm. The assassination attempt on Donald Trump cannot be discounted as a motivating factor among Republican voters.
I raised my right arm, looked at the thousands and thousands of people that were breathlessly waiting, and started shouting, "Fight, fight, fight."
But this isn't the Democratic Party, and this isn't the Democratic nominee that the Trump campaign was planning to run against. And it's taken them a few weeks to find their footing. In the meantime, Donald Trump has committed a few missteps. For one, he questioned Kamala Harris's black identity.
I didn't know she was black until a number of years ago when she happened to turn black, and now she wants to be known as black.
That might not have been the move that brings black voters who are considering whether to vote for you into your campaign. What we're going to see during the convention is the Republicans who have finally found their footing and figured out how they want to respond to this new environment. They're going to argue that she's too liberal.
We need to get radical about what we are doing.
Another thing they will try to do is undermine Kamala Harris's strengths, the strengths that she's presenting as a prosecutor and as California's Attorney General. They will argue that she cut deals that put dangerous people back on the streets.
Harris shielded illegal alien crack dealers from deportation. She wouldn't let them be deported. She fought like hell.
But the most important line of attack will be to remind voters that Kamala Harris was part of the Biden administration. And they will argue that all the negative views that voters have of Joe Biden and his handling of the economy
And we are very proud of Bidenomics.
and his its handling of immigration
We'll stop the Biden-Harris invasion of people that don't belong in our country. They're invading our country.
should convey to Kamala Harris as well. This convention is an important part of just a wild political year. And we're going to have a battle from here on in to define Kamala Harris, to define Donald Trump in the way each party wants voters to see them, and to argue for which issues are most important and which issues voters should be thinking about most when they go into the voting booth.